like to invite up on the stage Paul Trayman. Paul is the co-founder and CEO of FazWaz here in, where am I? Bangkok?
Yes, Thailand, yeah.
Thailand. And Paul's going to talk about building a profitable end-to-end real estate platform.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Hi, everyone. Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm going to change the tempo and the structure a little bit. So today, we're talking about building a very, very profitable end-to-end real estate platform. And I'm going to focus, because we're in Southeast Asia, particularly on Thailand. So, a few people have already asked me about this today. So just recently, 2 months ago, we were actually selling FazWaz business to Life Will Connect. And we agreed a management buyout to take the company back and take full operational control, not just of FazWaz, but also of Life Will Connect. I'm not going to talk too much about that. Mike will mention that story tomorrow. But within the FazWaz Southeast Asia assets, we now have Matula and Trovit. We've actually portalized those assets, so we moved them very much into being just a property portal, not an aggregator business necessarily. They provide leads to us. We also have the .property platforms all across Southeast Asia. They are portal assets. And then we have HitFlat we acquired as part of the group, and FazWaz as well, which is a transactional and portal player as well. So the reason we bought the company back is we believe there's a really unique and big opportunity to take this business model that we've had success in Thailand all across Southeast Asia and into other markets. So a bit of a high-level overview on FazWaz in Thailand. We have been going for about 10 years. Our office is just down the road on Soi 21. It's about 5 minutes away. And last year, we had some really, really good numbers. So we did around $20 million of revenue. From that revenue, we were able to keep about $12 million of gross profit. So we retained a lot of that money into the business. And then we actually retained even more of that in terms of EBITDA. EBITDA for us is actually very much non-adjusted. So that's almost a net profit number that we kept into the business. Obviously, when you're on an earn-out and you have to focus on profit in order to sell the company for a lot of money, that was a key metric we really focused on. We basically got rid of everything that didn't work and focused on what did work to make profit. We sold around $400 million of real estate. We did around 5,000 transactions. That's mixing sales and rentals. On the sales side, just to give you guys an idea, in Thailand, there's about 360,000 residential transactions a year. Between sales and rentals for us, we did around 5,000. So we're about 0.4% of the total market size. So there's a huge amount of room to grow there, and we're really excited about seeing how far we can go. So post-COVID, we came out. Thailand was particularly closed down for a very long time. The airport was shut for much longer than most other markets. But once it opened up, we really saw some amazing growth and some amazing numbers. And then in 2023, we combined FazWaz with .property to accentuate that growth. So we kept on going and doing really, really good numbers after that. So I've added this just to highlight that we genuinely believe that a founder-driven business at all different stages is the key to success, as long as they're accompanied by a very diverse team of experience from real estate to classified portals. You have to mix a smart bunch of people together to do this sort of business. Some of these guys here have been with us for 7, 8 years. Some of them joined during the .property merge. But we believe this is an important ingredient to be successful, profitable, and to collaborate with really strong people together. So let's talk about the current business model. We are a classified-led transaction business. And what that means is we take the classified model. And for us, classifieds, when we look at Southeast Asia, I've been speaking to many people in the room, particularly in emerging markets, doesn't work. It's not a business that is very easy to scale. It's not a business that can make a lot of money, a lot of profit. It's a very, very tough business for a number of different reasons. It's a fragmented market where there's many players, many portal assets, many agencies, all fighting for traffic, leads, and whatever else. So for us, on the classified side, we didn't grow this business. We kept it as is over the last few years, and we're not expecting growth on the classified. We utilize this platform to generate leads for the transaction business. And transactions for us is full end-to-end. It's from search all the way through to close. So we generate leads, and then we close deals, basically. We sell properties, and we rent properties. This is where the big growth came for us, focusing on high transaction value properties. Our average transaction is around $11,000, and we have a very, very low cost acquisition. So we acquire most of our traffic organically, and we only pay our agents around 30-35% because of the volume of leads and support we give those guys. We also have a small operational cost, and we're able to net a 55% margin. So it's a very, very profitable transaction model, predominantly focused on more high-ticket markets. I want to emphasize that. We're not doing everywhere in every city. We're just focusing where there's money to be made. And at the top left, you'll see that there's a clear correlation between total revenue we do and the total number of agents we have in our network. It's still a people business, which we'll talk about in a second. So overall, our year-on-year performance has been really strong. On average, we did about $1.3 million per agent in terms of total transaction value, and they're generating around $65,000 of revenue and about 17 transactions a year. So they're really very high efficiency. They're doing a lot of transactions, and that was actually last year only from 300 brokers on average. Okay, so the interesting part, how are we going to grow this business to $100 million? Malcolm mentioned there's only a few players in the world that can actually get to this number, and we believe we've got the right strategy, the right path, and the right team to execute on this mission, but doing it very, very profitably. We're not going to raise a lot of money. We may raise a lot of money. We didn't raise a lot of money before, but we believe we've got a strategy to do that. Let's talk about it. So I mentioned before about agent headcount. This is still, for us, a people business. You can talk about all the AI you want, you can talk about all the technology, but it takes people to show properties and get transactions right now. So we're embracing that. We believe that by growing our agent headcount, this is our forecast that we're working towards, from 450 people now to 3,000, we're going to generate a lot of revenue. You can imagine we did $20 million with 300 agents. What can we do with 3,000? We've also proven that we can bring agents in from all different walks of life, all different age groups, all different experiences can come into our ecosystem with the training, support, and infrastructure that we provide and start transacting very, very quickly. Expanding inside Thailand. So currently, because we have these portal assets, we're only actually touching on a very small part of the business. We're servicing about 30% of the areas and 30% of the leads that we have. These are the current markets we operate in. They're big cities. There's more to grow there, but these are some of the markets we're looking to expand in. So agent headcount and regional expansion is part of our core strategy. So the other thing we're looking at, which I think is important to highlight, is that in most of these emerging markets, getting access to capital in terms of bank loans and financing is actually very difficult for many people. Around 60% of the loans for Thai domestic buyers were not approved last year. And for a foreigner to come and buy here is very, very difficult as well. Only select banks offer loans on select people. So what we're looking to do is offer alternative finance solutions. And that is for us a lease-to-own or a rent-to-own model, allowing people to secure a property, move in and make payments over a couple of years, or secure a property and rent that property for a certain period, prove to the bank they can actually afford that property, and then transfer the asset or get a loan and then transfer the asset after that. So that's a really interesting model. How we make money on that model is we sell the property, charge 3 to 5% commission, and then we take a clip of the interest. So we're doubling up our commission in many scenarios. That's a really interesting one we're about to roll out. The other thing we just started doing and had a lot of success with is a different version of group buying. It's still group buying, but it's more focused on the new home segment. So we go to developers. There's many new developers that don't have big, deep pockets that are looking to get access to capital. So we then provide them a reservation on maybe the first 20 units to help them sell. They provide us a discount, and we're able to sell those and distribute it through our agent network to our buyers and secure a much larger percentage of the commission from those transactions. That one's a really interesting one for us moving forward. So the one thing I haven't mentioned much, I focus very much on Thailand. We are looking to expand across Southeast Asia. We've got around 6 million visitors across these 5 countries. And we believe that we can take the exact same model we've got here, which is transactions mixed with portals, and extract tens of millions of dollars from each market by focusing on a few core things: acquiring small to medium-sized brokerages, focusing on high-ticket areas, not trying to do everything, and prioritizing pretty much new homes transactions over the resale market. So the AI part, let's talk a little bit about this. So for us, AI is all about optimizing the sales funnel. Yes, you can do a lot of stuff on the website. Yes, you can implement all different things. But for us, we look at the daily tasks completed by our agents, and we look at automating as many of those as possible. We want our agents and our brokerage team to focus on listings, which is content, and conduct lots and lots of viewings. If they focus on those 2 activities, their transaction numbers go up, and so does the revenue. So we have got automation on the qualification. When we qualify a client, we match them with the right properties. When we match them to the right properties, we schedule viewings. So we are starting to hand leads over to our agents as a qualified, booked-in, intent-driven lead, so they can focus on clients that want to view. So our theory and our thesis is that between 2024 and 2025, we can double the efficiency of our brokers from 17 transactions a year to 30 plus. That's where we're using AI predominantly. The other areas we're trying to look at is shortening the averages. So we're looking at implementing kind of AI-driven recommendations. We already have it, but we're using the newest tools to do it, because we believe if you match the client to the right property and convert that person into a viewing, that will allow you to get much higher conversions again. We're also looking at data, insights, and educating our buyers on pricing, ROIs, what's the hot areas to buy, and by doing that, we're guiding our buyers to the best properties in the market. The other thing we started implementing, which is quite interesting, is AI voice bots. And these AI voice bots are calling our sellers up, checking if the pricing is still available, and actually negotiating lower prices if they've been on the market for a certain period. And then it goes back and updates our system. Those properties then highlighted at the top, they're available. People come through and see those properties at the top, inquire, viewing, much shorter periods of conversion. So my final thoughts, I got through that really quickly, but my final thoughts are we believe that to do this model in Southeast Asia, you have to combine smart technology with human beings to do sales. Like, we are a sales-driven culture. You can hear how I talk. I'm very salesy as well, but it's all about combining the two together to really have the highest output. We still want to focus on the core fundamentals. It's agents bring us listings, listings bring us leads, leads bring us transactions. That is still the core metric of the transaction-focused business in Southeast Asia. And I think we all look at different markets across the world and try and copy the model, but this model particularly here is very, very unique to Southeast. So you can't copy stuff that's happening in LATAM or the United States. You have to find a model here that scales. We believe that combining the portal with the transaction business is the only winning strategy for this market and other markets as well. Okay, I got through that super fast. Okay. And yeah, if anyone wants to talk and have a collaboration, we're looking to expand all over Southeast Asia, so come and have a chat with us or chat with me after. Thank you.
I don't know who's more exhausted, you or me.
It was double the speed on my practice. Okay. Double the time.
Wow, you've ripped through that. But that does give a lot of opportunity to ask questions, so please join in the conversation. Okay, this all seems, we're going to start with this one, then I've got a bunch. Okay. This all seems very ambitious. Why not raise money?
We are looking to raise money. That is the truth. Okay. But we hadn't raised a lot of money until this point. That's what I was trying to emphasize. If you go down a profitable model, that profit can fuel your growth versus using third-party. But now we are starting to go out and search for capital to go into Southeast Asia, do acquisitions, and look for new opportunities to scale to, basically.
So let's start by breaking this down. You've got at a Life or Connect level, you've got Mature Latrobe example at an aggregator level. You've got Dot Property, for example, and HipFlat as well at the portal level, and then you've got FazWaz. So if you think of it as a funnel, right, coming all the way down, everything's pointing into getting as many high-quality leads at the lowest possible cost into the FazWaz machine to then convert. When you look at the different channels, what works? Let's break it down. Let's get into the nitty-gritty here. What works, what doesn't work?
We don't look at each individual platform. We just look at the output. So for us, we've portalized the the Trovit and Matula assets. They're no longer providing clicks. They're providing leads. And that just comes into our funnel, into our CRM system. It's converted. So the portals all just drive traffic leads. We don't look at each one of them differently. We didn't change the platforms too much. It's just how do we get as much flow through the core brokerage business to have as many transactions as possible.
Okay, so you've got Matula in Thailand, Trovit in Thailand, Dot Property and FazWaz. And FazWaz.
And a network of other websites we've created. There's lots of websites.
So you've got a bunch of other sites there just capturing leads. Do any of them work better than the others? Do you have an idea what works, what doesn't work?
Yeah, we see a much, much higher conversion on the FazWaz brand.
Okay.
And we're not 100% sure why that is, but we put it down to a few reasons. I think people know the brand is clearly one company, a brokerage. They know they're going to an agency background. We have a lot more content on our FazWaz platform. So people come through, they see every bit of information about the properties, they actually get informed, whereas the Dot Property and the other platforms were much more limited in what they provide the consumer. I think that's pretty much actually.
Okay, so now you've got all these platforms, and you're sitting there going, well, and they've all got different levels of traffic. Which has got the most traffic, by the way?
That's a good question. Dot Property Group has got more traffic.
Okay, right. So Dot Property's probably got more traffic than the FazWaz, but
almost equal now, but yeah.
Converts better. Have you thought about doing lots of A/B testing, targeting different segments, doing a whole bunch of stuff just to get even more?
It would have. yes, we should have done, but when you're in the process of selling the company, it's just about volume.
Yeah,
we can keep changing and playing around for a year or two, but for us, it's like, let's just put as much through the funnel as possible. Yeah, we didn't do enough A/B testing at all.
I'm not worried about what happened in the past. What are you going to do?
Good question. We will definitely think about doing that one.
Okay, it's on the list of things to maybe do.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to do, as you can imagine.
What was Life's logic in combining such different businesses and geographies?
Not sure. You're going to have to ask them.
Don't know. I don't think
That's a
any
good
of us
question.
honestly,
I
I don't
can't
think any of
answer
us know.
But I think it was very much just an overseas strategy. They wanted to start buying assets and scaling overseas and de-risk themselves from the Japanese market. That was from my understanding. You know better than me.
I do have an opinion on that question. Life was a very Japanese business, Japanese shareholders. The whole country has a plateauing, even a degradation in the number of the population in general. They wanted to have an overseas growth strategy. Takashi, the CEO, was very much looking at what do I do next. They acquired Trovit back in 2014.
I had it on the slide.
I think it was, and then they acquired Machula Group, which Gonzalo was the CEO of, and I was chairman of back in 2019, I think it was, and put that together. And, and in that process, they ended up also bringing on getting Dot Property, and then they bought HitFlat, and they bought a few other bits and pieces along the way, and then did the deal with you. And in that process, it was all about going, oh yeah, there's this sort of from clicks through to transaction and really trying to monetize all of that. And I think the problem is all that's wonderful in theory, but if you've got businesses in Latin America, in Europe, and in Southeast Asia,
but for us, it did us a massive favor. By putting all those assets together, merging with us, and now our ability to take it back, they've done most of the work for us. We have 3 or 4 of the most trafficked platforms. There's no competitor that can compete with us in this current market.
Great execution. How is the transaction? Well, geez, stop moving around. How's the transaction-focused model impacting your company valuation?
That's a good question, actually.
I guess until you test it in the market.
I think the big difference between a lot of the other companies in Southeast Asia is that they're very much going on a future promise of revenue, multiple, and profit, but we generally have very, very good underlying metrics. I think our value is reflecting that. And we aren't just a brokerage. We are able to scale much more aggressively than most brokerages. So our value on our multiple is going to be very, very high, hopefully.
Okay. The lead to appointment ratio appears to increase a lot because of using AI or any other factors involved.
No. We haven't implemented. There's no AI that we've currently implemented that is having a massive impact on any of these things yet, but with stuff we're working on to improve it and alleviate the role of the agent.
Okay, so at the end of the day, you're executing really well on the business plan.
Yeah.
Super disciplined, understanding each of the steps and optimizing each of the steps. And it doesn't matter if it's AI, it doesn't matter if it's humans. No. It's just about being very clear on what you're doing.
Exactly.
Which is actually a good lesson to learn in doing all of this. When you think about it, it's like we can always throw technology at the problem, but you've got to start at the basics.
Yeah.
Which is understand what you're trying to optimize what you got already, and then apply technology to the problem.
Exactly.
Makes sense. Okay. We've done that one. What's the agent attrition ratio?
Very good question. It's high. In emerging markets where we're paying commission only, so we're not paying them basic salaries, unless they make it with us, they churn. So we've got a very high attrition rate. I'm not sure the exact number. I can check with our chief HR officer over there, but it's within 20-30% minimum. Like, it's very rare. But this is the one thing we're working on very aggressively this year to address. But yeah, it's high.
But a related question.
Yeah.
Attrition is not bad, especially if it's the poor performance. You want that. The question is, of those that you want to keep, what's the attrition ratio like?
No, the attrition of people that are doing well is very high. People use real estate to learn the market, get a bit of experience. It sounds cool. There's actually a lot of work involved in being a real estate agent. It's not as simple as opening a door purely. So I think people come in with a perception it's a simple job, you're going to make loads of money, when actually the reality is very different. Right. So they churn. But the people that do well, they've been with us for many years. We've got a big team that's been very loyal.
And do you do anything particular to keep them? Any special incentives? The longer you've been with us, the more you sell, the higher percentage you get?
Yeah, we've got the main incentive. The longer you've been with us, the better you perform, the higher up you appear on our lead algorithm, so you actually get access to higher budgets, more leads, and more support from the team. You do get more commissions in some scenarios, but it's a stepped tiered system.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So you have a differential lead allocation mechanism. How does that work?
based on performance, based on activity, based on the listings you brought into the system. There's all different metrics and things you can do to get more leads out, but it's mainly performance-based. If you've converted X amount in the last 30, 60, 90 days, you would appear higher or lower up on that algorithm.
And if you're at the top of the algorithm?
You would be given higher budgets, maximum possible leads you could possibly handle.
Right.
Within the limit. We put caps and quotas on, but you would have access to a lot more than someone just starting out. It also protects the business as well.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Are your agents independent, and how is the commission split between you and your agents?
Good question as well. So our agents, we call them partner agents. They work full-time for us. The commission split is around 70-30 on the sales side and 60-40 on the rental side. Sorry, 30% is what they get, 40% is what they get on the rental side. So that's the split.
Okay, and do you differentiate between your own leads generated and leads they bring with them?
They get a higher percentage bonus if they bring in their own leads. Right. If they self-generate for their family, for their friends, for another marketing source, we give them a bonus for that.
And then they're just using you as a platform?
Yeah, the majority of transactions are done for our lead generation, and if they do generate their own lead, it's usually on a property that's been generated from the marketing sources. So there's a reason for them to stay within the ecosystem.
Okay. You mentioned AI-driven property recommendations. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Is that from you?
No.
Another Simon in the room.
No, it's not from me.
Yeah, we're just looking at, we've got a huge amount of data on the platform of what people are searching for, what they're clicking on, what they're inquiring, what they're buying, and we're able to feed that back into the system, making sure similar properties or those properties are ranked much higher based on your search criteria. So it's AI, it's algorithms, like the buzzword of AI, but it's just taking data, using that data to better position the best properties, the most popular ones, to the right consumer based on their search.
Okay, so the more you learn about me, the more you tailor what you're really going to give me.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to stuff around, because at the end of the day, all you care about is getting the transaction done.
Exactly.
And which is, if you think about it from a traditional portal perspective, it's all about they've got to generate a lot of leads. They're not, it's almost like, yes, you want high quality leads, but you really don't care if it's high quality, medium, or low quality. Volume is a bigger driver.
Exactly.
But for you, it's like, I don't want to deal with the crap, because it's it actually ends up waste of time in the process.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Are your agents wary of AI replacing them, or does it excite them to have that extra assistance?
I love it when you get a difficult question from one of your team. That's brilliant.
Okay.
Thanks, Paulie. I don't think that people are wary yet. Everyone's talking about it. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of tech, but no one is proving they're going to be fully replaced. 3, 4, 5 years, different story. Right now, people are not worried. They're utilizing the AI tools to do a lot of the process I mentioned before. And yeah, it does excite them to make sure they have access to all these tools.
Yeah, I think if I was an agent nowadays and I could get all that crap work done for me and I can just focus on meeting and closing, I'd be a very happy agent because I'd make more money at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Paul, thank you very much.
Oh, cheers.
Great stuff. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.